Hey, it's time for episode number 247, and we're talking to my friend Baylee, the founder and owner of Baylee Rose Boutique. Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street, and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, so many times when I talk to boutique owners in our industry, I hear some very common threads about how they got started in business and some of the most common obstacles they face when they get there. More often than not, we have boutique owners in our industry who come from teaching backgrounds and nursing backgrounds, and they get into the business because they have a need in their community or they see a need somewhere online, and because of their personal experience or a life change they've gone through, like having kids, for example, and how much that changes your body and your perspective and confidence and the clothes that you wear, they decide to start a boutique. So today I'm talking to my friend Baylee, who's the founder of Baylee Rose Boutique. She was the Washington storefront and overall boutique of the year. And today she talks openly about her journey and how much becoming a mother changed her focus of fashion and what she wanted to do with her career. We talk through the ups and downs of starting a boutique, the lessons that she learned along the way, and how she's learned to really engage her customers and get to know her customers based on the things that they have in common the most. I think that boutique owners of all sizes and all types are going to love hearing from Baylee because she's raw and honest about her life, her journey, and how she's grown her boutique. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited this week. My friend Baylee Cordero is here. She is the founder of Baylee Rose Boutique, our Washington storefront boutique of the year and overall boutique of the year. And we've got a lot to talk about today, don't we, Baylee?
Yes.
You know, let's start here. You and I were chatting before we started to record that we know that life of boutique owners can be hectic, and sometimes you could use more help than you might have in a storefront. So tell me, who's manning the store right now while we're recording the podcast?
Well, it just so happens my husband volunteered this morning. We had an employee call in sick, which right now the flu bug seems to be going around for everybody, but he's so awesome. This morning he was laying down floors and I was like, hey, I need you to take a break from that and sit behind the checkout counter because I have a podcast interview to do and I can't reschedule. So he'll be quite the surprise when our customers come in today.
That's perfect. I think we've got to give a shout out to all the boutique husbands that are supporting their ladies and that are helping in store. Does he model for you as well? I mean, we should throw him some fun tasks,
Yeah,
right?
there has been some customers that have asked if he would model active and he refuses. He helps behind the scenes on our lives sometimes and he won't even pop his head to say hi.
That's too funny. We actually just this week in the hub, there was a husband that had made a post and everyone was cheering him on like, yes, we love boutique husbands. And he requested that we make a Facebook group just for husbands or significant others. So maybe your husband can get involved.
Yeah, that's a great idea, actually. They need support too.
Agreed. Well, I'm so excited, Baylee, just to talk about your business. And I know we've chatted about a couple topics we really want to hit home today, specifically what it's like to be a smaller boutique. You know, we've talked about a lot our 2020 goals. And I think one of the things I'm hearing so many times from people is that we get this impression online of bigger is always better, and that you have to have all these followers and you have to be this mega boutique to be successful. And that just isn't true. You can be new, you can have the boutique the size that you want, you can run it lean, and you can still find success on your own terms. And I'm excited to hear you talk more about that today.
Yeah, so that is such a great topic and something that I know myself I struggled with. Like when you start out any kind of business, I feel like especially boutique business, you see all these other boutiques who have been in business for a lot longer time and they're huge, have great success, and you compare yourself to that being smaller. So it is really important just to remember that you don't need to be a mega boutique, I guess is what you could say, to be successful. And Baylee Rose Boutique is definitely a good example of that because we did win the boutique awards and we just hit over 1,000 followers on Facebook right around the time we won that award. So we are not huge or mega by any means, but just the community that we have is so supportive of us.
I love that. It's kind of the statement of having 100 true fans, right? Versus 1,000 followers, and that rule of thumb about building a really strong community. Let's go back to how you got started. I would love for everyone to hear your story of how you got into owning the boutique and more about your community as well.
Yeah, so I started Baylee Rose Boutique because I was working in a field that I enjoyed, but I was not passionate about. I just had come back from having my second child, Jude. I have two little girls, Luna 4 and Jude 2. And I was really struggling with my own identity as a mom, as more than being just a mom, I guess is what you could say. I was going back to work part-time. I was in a completely different world. I worked at a heavy equipment school. It was a trade school, mostly all men. I helped them get all their school funding and everything done. And I also scheduled them for classes, and I was the VA rep. So completely different spectrum for sure. And I just really wanted something that was different for myself and something that I was passionate about. And so I started throwing around the idea. I've always been passionate about fashion. It was something that always really interested me, and especially coming from a space where I was struggling with my postpartum body after having a C-section. Mm-hmm. I was definitely very different from my first child. I didn't have a C-section with her, so just that in itself was a complete turnaround for me. And going shopping after having a child is so different. Like, you're in a weird space. You're not a teenager anymore, and you're not that 20-some-year-old partier. So like going to the mall was just going to the mall was something that I used to enjoy, and then just became stressful. Like,
yeah, you're like, I was shopping at Forever 21, and then I ended up in Ann Taylor, the Loft. What happened?
Yeah, there's no middle ground for us, I feel like. So just being in that situation, and I honestly I guess I was blind to the boutique world. Like, I was so naive. I didn't know that there was other boutiques out there. Just because it's not a common thing in our area. Like, we've had a few here and there. I knew girls that sold LuLaRoe. I think that's how you pronounce it. I usually say it wrong. But anyways, there just wasn't something that I was truly interested in buying for myself or felt comfortable buying for myself. So that's where Baylee Rose Boutique stemmed from, is just finding something that I could go buy, purchase, knew I felt good in it, didn't receive the judgment. I feel like that comes along with going into places like Forever 21 when you're towing two kids and trying to find something. Also, I knew that if I felt that way, there was other women out there who also felt that way. And I wanted to not only build myself up, I guess, through fashion, but help build other women up who are struggling through the same thing. And so I just told my husband, I was like, hey, I am not happy where I'm at right now, and my position at work, it's just not fulfilling. I'm not passionate about it. This is the idea I have. I want to start like a little boutique out of our spare bedroom. And he looked at me and was like, you're going to sell clothes? How do you sell clothes? Well, there's more to that, I'm sure, but we'll go along as we go. So yeah, we started out in the spare bedroom of our home. We actually kicked out Jude, our little one, out of her nursery and put her in her room with her sister, which they love that anyways. And we turned that room into a little boutique and started from there. I didn't start out buying clothes online, I guess, through like LA Showroom or anything like that. We actually took a trip out to the LA Fashion District because I wanted to know what I was really getting into. I wanted to see the brands, feel them, and know that we were purchasing quality clothes. So we made the trip out, made our first purchase, and then I got home and was like, okay, I got the stuff. Now I got to figure out how to sell it. Yeah, so it's from starting from the little spot in my room, we've definitely have grown and created a community from that.
I love it. Did you start out, like, as you first started the boutique, right, from home? Did you start out just sharing your story and sharing that pain point of why you started it? Because it seems like that's really who your customer is too, right? Is that mom that's transitioning at that point in her life. She's got little kids, right? She's busy. Do they really relate to you on that topic? Do you feel like your community is stronger because they have that commonality?
Yes. And to be honest, like in the very beginning when I first started, I wasn't as open as I am now. I was really, like, for the lack of a better word, like scared. Well, to be honest, scared. I didn't want people to know, like, that's why I was starting it. But that was only like a month into it. And then I realized, okay, if I want people to like really believe in this, like more than just buying clothes, I need to share my experiences and stuff. We also went to a lot of events, like pop-up events, and I met women that way. And I always had Jude, my youngest, with me because she was solely breastfed. So she had to go with me everywhere. So that was a good icebreaker, I guess you could say, for other moms, like going through the same thing, because initially just started like, oh, we were chatting about our kids. And then they would come into the booth and shop and feel comfortable. And I was like, okay, like this is relatable. Everyone, this is working for us. And then it ended up they would be friends with me on Facebook and like, oh, can I come over and shop and bring my two littles with me? And it turned into a shopping play date. So
Perfect. What better way to do it, right?
yeah.
Oh, goodness. Tell me about the first couple of times that you went live and you talked about those things on social media. Because I think from a marketing standpoint, from my vantage point, I feel like so many of the boutiques that I know that are successful are doing exactly what you're doing. They're just being authentic to their big why, and they're building a community around that. But I know there is fear and hesitation sometimes to be authentic and honest about those things. Did you ever have a struggle like going Facebook Live? Because I know you do that quite a bit now. And what was that transition like for you?
Oh, yes. I remember my first Facebook Live. I was so nervous, and it was in the room of my home. The lighting was terrible. I had my phone propped up on a desk. I don't remember. I think I had it rubber band to something because I didn't have anything like set up for it. I just knew like I needed to get started. I knew it was going to be messy. I knew it was going to be terrible. That I just needed to like a starting point to go. So I had new arrivals come in. I didn't even like try to sell through a Facebook Live. I just used them mostly to like reach my customers and be like, hey, this is what I have. You can schedule an appointment to come over and shop with me or message me on Facebook. Basically just to show them what was new in. My husband was home and was supposed to be watching the kids, but I mean, we know how that goes. Here comes little Luna pitter patter into the spare bedroom where I was live, and you can just see like the top of her head, but she's picking up clothes in the background, like trying to show the people on the live the shirt that I have, like trying to help, but I was so embarrassed, like trying not to use my mom voice and trying to like scoot her out of the bedroom as quickly as I could. But I mean, people thought it was hilarious. They resonated with that. And then from there, it's been a joke now, especially my customers that have been with me from the very beginning. They think it's funny. Like,
I was just talking to someone about this the other day, and they were like, oh, that's my worst fear that happens. And I'm like, man, I think about that YouTube video. I'm sure you've seen it, of that newscaster that's like doing a video from his office, and his child comes like busting through the door, and then his wife comes like busting in the door after the child, and then like crawls out of the room on all fours.
Yeah.
Like I could just see that playing out in real life.
Yeah, it's great. It's so great. I mean, we include our kids a lot in our lives and stuff when we can, and because our customers like to see them and they ask questions about them, and it's something that they can relate to. So now it's just funny. Like when they pop on there, you can hear them on the background. Or before we transitioned over to our office space, we were still doing our Thursday night lives, and it overlapped with bedtime, and bedtime with kids doesn't always go as planned. So sometimes you would hear them in the background yelling for me, and I'd have to be like, sorry guys, I had to go take care of that. And then I would come back. It just works.
That's life, true life right there. Do you feel like, though, on that topic, so many times we talk about failures in business or obstacles in business, and you can either look at them as an obstacle, right? Or you can make them an opportunity. Do you feel like this Or are there other obstacles, let's say, that you faced that have really just propelled you further and made you better because they happened?
Yeah, I would say just like that from that first video I did, like it is definitely an obstacle that has like pushed us farther though, because it gave me a chance to be more open and honest with my customers. Like if we're always showing them the pretty things, it's hard to relate to that. So we have had issues switching over all of our systems before, and just like being really honest with our customers and letting them know, hey, we're switching over systems, like this isn't working. We are not technology savvy. Like I did not go to college for technology anything. So I'm always really honest and open, and it gets embarrassing sometimes. It's like, man, I wish it would just go so smooth and no hiccups or anything like that, but it doesn't always work that way, especially with integrating Comment Sold. We've integrated that recently, and getting that started was a little bit of a struggle for us just because we were having issues with our internet and then hooking everything up. So our customers lived through that with us and keep coming back. And now they're like, oh, it's great because we can't figure out internet or computers or anything. So we're just right along there with you.
Trial by fire.
Yeah.
Talk to me about going to Comment Sold. I'm curious because I know there's a lot of listeners that are using Comment Sold, and I would say of all varying sizes and backgrounds and experience levels. And I think one common misconception people have is that Comment Sold will help bring you customers. But the truth is it's just a tool to help the existing customers you have, right? And that user experience.
Yeah.
I'm curious your vantage point on how it's worked for you.
Yes. So Comment Sold is still pretty new to us. We implemented it, I want to say like 4 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, but we have not been very consistent on it. Like we could definitely do a lot better. So we are still learning how to utilize Comment Sold for us. Our customers are still getting used to Comment Sold because the majority of our customers don't really shop other boutiques online. Like the boutique world is still kind of new to them because of where we live. Like people are still discovering them. Mm-hmm. So I would say we could do a lot better on using it. It definitely is a great tool because we don't have to do all the invoicing and all the extra little things. But like you said, Comment Sold is not going to bring you customers. Like you still have to put in the work to get your customers, mm-hmm. and Comment Sold just aids you on the back end of all of the extra duties.
Right. So along with being authentic, right, and sharing your big why, something else I noticed that you do really well is you've got great branding and great photography, and you're very consistent in how you portray your business and your brand. Talk to me about what that strategy has been like for you.
Well, I appreciate that so much. We worked really hard on that, especially this past year. In the very beginning, that was like something that was very important to me, was the branding. It definitely wasn't where I wanted it to be in the very beginning because everything takes work and trial and error, and then finding the right people to help you do that. We are so lucky. We have Stacy, who is our photographer, and she works in the shop as well as our sales girl. And she does so many other things too. That girl is like all over the place. But she actually has a degree in photography, so she's amazing. I can't say enough good things about her. Like we sat down, really went over what I wanted Baylee Rose Boutique to look like. Like we went over the editing together, and she has just really fine-tuned it. So we just have a really good system in place. She has all of her editing stuff. This is what we use for all of our photos, and we try not to sway from that at all, because it is very important when someone is scrolling through the feed to be able to recognize, oh, that's Baylee Rose Boutique, or, oh, that's so-and-so. So just to catch their eye. Yeah, Stacy's been awesome for us.
That's awesome. It makes such a difference. Your customers definitely respond to that. Talk to me about other marketing tools that you use often. Do you have any like apps or tools that you absolutely couldn't live without?
I go back and forth between the Poster app and Canva app because I use those for like anytime we're doing like special promotions or anything like that, just to add stuff to our photos and to really catch people's attention, because people don't like to read through anything anymore. So if you can grab them and stop their scroll, if you will. And then back to the branding thing, like anytime I find a quote or anything I really like, I try to be really consistent on making it through like our poster app and using our colors, like color coordinate with what we use through our shop, which is like a lavender color. We try to use that for everything. So I'll just recreate it through the app and then shout out whoever the quote was by, obviously, and give credit and then post it that way. So just keeping that very consistent.
Makes a huge difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
How about traffic? Where do you feel like what social media channel or what strategies do you think have really helped you bring new traffic, both to the storefront, but also to the online store?
Yeah, so the storefront, definitely, I would say Facebook, just because that's what I really started with first. When we opened, it was all through Facebook. I didn't have an Instagram account yet, so I'm still like getting that going, I feel like, and learning on the Instagram stuff. But definitely Facebook, being consistent, and when I'm posting your VIP page, just being consistent in that and trying to keep the engagement up. Word of mouth, honestly, for a brick and mortar has been huge. Just having our customers tell other people about it and they have positive things to say, so they want to come in, check it out. Through our Facebook, we post on our like local community pages. So our community is pretty small, and our community of Woodland, and they have like happenings for the city and things that are going on. So I'll periodically like post through there too, like catching those people that are in our town but still don't know about us. Mm-hmm. And we like to host events throughout the year too, so that helps bring new people in as well.
Facebook is such a good local tool, isn't it? It has so many different, like the features of Facebook, I think, are so much stronger for local businesses than, say, versus Instagram.
Yes, I agree with that one.
How about Instagram? Have you found like Insta stories have been successful for you, or how are you using the platform?
Yes, our Instagram, I live in our Instagram stories. Like some days I'll go a couple days without posting or in our feed, and I'm trying to get better at that. But our Instagram stories, I make sure to post something every day. And I am just like our Facebook VIP page. I'm very open, I guess. Like I share personal things in there. I share my kiddos, just to make it really relatable. We do a lot of try-on sessions and try-on videos in our Instagram stories, and that's how we get a lot of our customers just starting that conversation of, oh, hey, do you think this top would work for me? Or what's the material content on that? And then that usually turns into a sale for us.
Perfect. How about emails?
Emails are something that I'm starting to dive into that are working pretty well. I definitely need to be more consistent on that end because it is something we just implemented. I try not to do a lot of sales through our email and more of like newsletters of, hey, this is what's going on this week and this is what's new at the shop. We have these events coming up, like just little highlights of what's going on. And then I'll throw in like if we have a sale or a special buy or something along those lines.
Perfect. Have you started to work on like segmenting that email list or speaking differently to, say, your local audience versus your online audience? Or do you feel like it's all still kind of growing together at this point?
It's all still kind of growing together. That is definitely on my list to like separate and throw out to locals and then online. But right now it's just across the board.
Yeah. Ironically, my next question I was going to ask you was, if you had 5 more hours than the day, what would you double down on?
Oh my goodness. That's hard because there's so many things. I feel like probably our marketing, because that is the biggest thing. That's what gets all of our customers in here. Mm-hmm. Emails for sure. I really want to start on the Pinterest thing. I hear you guys talk about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And so that's on our goal list, especially since now I call her My Stacy, our photographer that is taking all of these amazing photos for us, and we're really honing in on our branding that I think we're ready to start a Pinterest. So I really want to double down on that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's such a strong platform, right? I think sometimes people confuse Pinterest with being like an instant gratification type social media platform, but it's a search engine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have yourself or an intern or someone that can spend a couple hours a week, even just pinning into Tailwind and scheduling those pins, such a huge opportunity. But I appreciate the fact that you're doubling down on what you know you're good at right now, right? Before you spread yourself too thin. I think it's easy to get those things mixed up and to try to, do too many things all at once, right?
Exactly. That's why I kind of took my time with Facebook. Okay, I feel like I have a good handle on that. And then just this year, I really dove into Instagram. I feel like I have a good schedule for that. So getting into adding something else that I can play around with.
Absolutely. Let's go back to this idea of our goals for 2020 and this idea of comparison to other boutiques online, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all, see those posts, and I think we all, even in the hub with so many boutiques in one spot, right? It's easy to see what other people are doing and kind of have a squirrel moment, if you will, and feel like you've got to try this one trick or this one tool or this new platform because everyone else is doing it. How do you feel like you've really tried to stay away from that? Or what strategies have worked for you to say, you know what, I'm going to stay in my own lane, and bigger doesn't mean better, but this is what my definition of success is, and this is what my strategy is, and here's where I'm going to spend my time doubling down. How do you manage that and that mindset?
Oh man, this one is hard. Like, it is so hard for everybody, but I think it's like a continuous struggle for anybody. It's definitely something that I struggled with in the very beginning more because you're so new and you're comparing yourself to everybody that has been in the game for multiple years, and you're seeing like their highlight reel, like you guys always say. So like in the beginning, to get me like past that, to be like, okay, I know everyone started at the bottom. I would like find a boutique that really was inspiring, but scroll like all the way down to the beginning of time when they first started, to be like, okay, they started here, like, and then they work themselves up to where they're at now, like the greatness. So just always reminding yourself, okay, they're doing great now, but like, let's look back to when they really got started, just for that inspiration to keep going and to keep doing what you're doing. I also really try hard not to follow a lot of other boutiques, just because for my own personal self, I start to compare so easily. So I just try to completely like stay away from it. Like, I have the few that are like obviously really inspiring to me, but I just try to keep my blinders on, just because it's so easy to look out and start comparing yourself to everybody else.
Yeah, it's so true. And I feel like I've been there too. And I think it's, like you said, it's kind of a constant battle, right? And I fight that battle too. And I think there's a difference in inspiration and emulation, and using someone to help keep you motivated versus, I think we've all been there when we look at someone and all of a sudden we kind of go down this rabbit hole of like social media scrolling. And then you just constantly feel worse and worse and worse, right? But just recognizing that up front and setting boundaries for yourself, or unfollowing people or leaving groups or whatever it is you have to do, I think is such a healthy boundary. Or even, do you do this? I'm guilty of, I check my like social media timer on my phone every day to see how much time I spent on social. Do you ever like put boundaries up for yourself in that way too?
No, but I need to. I need to. I notice myself, like, if I just don't even start the scroll, because once you start the scroll, then you can't stop. So if I just go on social media, check my messages, make sure I'm getting back to my customers, and then like quickly get off my phone, I'm usually okay. So when you like start just scrolling, oh, I'll just look at one post, and then that leads to 5 others, and then 6 more, and then you're in the rabbit hole.
Yeah, so true. So true. Well, let's kind of shift gears a little bit. I want to know more, kind of on that note of comparison, and I would even call it mental health. I would love to know more about you as a business owner, and you're a young mom, you've got this business, your hubby's helping you out as much as he can. You've got a very busy life. Talk to me about your daily routine and what that looks like.
I would love to tell you I have a strict daily routine, but with 2 little girls, it's kind of hard to stick to. It's something that I'm working harder on this year. It's on that good old 2020 goal list. But right now, it basically is getting up early well, early to us is like 7 a.m. So I don't know what early to some people are, but two kiddos. Getting my preschooler ready for school, and then I usually send the other one off to my mom or my mother-in-law. We're really fortunate to have them help out with the kids. And then I come into the shop and get into my list for the day. I try to knock out like the bigger things first that aren't as exciting to me, and then go on from there. It changes day to day, so it's really hard to say that I have a schedule. I feel like it's kind of fly by the seat of your pants most of the time, especially but when you have a brick and mortar and you have to be open, because I have employees. We're small, so I only have two other employees. They also have kids themselves. So if the kid's sick or they're sick, then we got to run in here and cover the shop. But yeah, so I really don't have a schedule now that you
even in the midst of chaos with no schedule, do you think there's any like habits or things that you do every day that you feel like help you become more successful or healthier or more present?
Yeah, I guess yes. I have lists for myself. So I do have lists of the things that I would like to get done on that day. And if I don't continue those things, they go on the list for the next day. And then just try not to beat myself up for not taking care of them, within that day. I mean, giving yourself grace, but it definitely becomes hard sometimes with that one too.
Man, I think that's a big topic. That whole giving yourself grace, I've talked about that in the hub before too. I think because of the comparison, it becomes so much harder to give ourselves grace. We feel like we should be somewhere that we're not, rather than just stepping back and enjoying the moment of where we are. Right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's been a big hurdle for me personally, just because I am like so goal oriented and I like to make the list and get everything done on my list and feel accomplished because I got to check everything off. So owning this business definitely has given me some more insight to my personal self. I'm like, okay, we can step back a little bit. You didn't get it done today. That is okay. There's tomorrow, and it'll just be at the top of the list tomorrow. Like learning to shut off and be okay with the list that's still at the shop has been a big hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. How about this notion that there's balance, right? That you can have certain time at home and certain time at work and somehow magically balance it all while wearing heels, right? What does that messy struggle look like for you?
Oh, yes. I don't like the word balance because I feel like there is no true balance. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At least I haven't found it yet. So if someone has, please tell me. But I think it just comes back to like trying to have like the boundaries at least of, okay, there's a certain time in the day where you're gonna stop working. Like even if you didn't get that one last thing done, you're gonna shut off your phone and stop, or at least turn notifications off. And that is family time to relax with family. Obviously, there is times where there is that one thing that is gonna carry over and you have to finish it. Those things come up. But then also like giving yourself grace, okay, not beating yourself up for cutting into family time, and then just enjoying it with the balance too. Like there is no such thing as balance. So you just have to enjoy everything as it comes and work through the schedules that you're given and the time.
Yeah, amen. I totally agree with that. How about where do you go to be motivated every day? So kind of lightning round, if you will. Tell me your favorite, say, mentor or like podcast or YouTube channels that you love.
Yes, so I love listening to Rachel Hollis. I read all her books and her podcasts are amazing. Your guys' podcast obviously is one of my favorites, and a new one is Brendan Burchard.
Yeah.
He's a good one too. I really love listening to that. So every morning, that's how I start my day. I guess I do have kind of a routine. That's how I start my day, and while I'm getting ready, I put on a podcast, and that's what gets me like motivated for my day and ready to take it on.
I love that. That's kind of my routine too. How about your favorite book? You mentioned Rachel Hollis. Are there others that you love as well?
Yes. So basically just the Rachel Hollis. To be honest, I haven't read any other ones besides like 50 Shades of Grey, but that's not really inspirational.
That's the best answer I've ever gotten to that question. 50 Shades of Grey. It's my favorite book.
I mean, that was terrible. But
no, I know that there's so many people listening right now going, yes, thank you. You said it. That's awesome.
It's a good book, okay? But on inspirational, I don't have time to do a lot of reading. So I've read both of the Rachel Hollis books because I started listening to her podcasts and I really wanted to sit down and read the books. But other than that, I just listen to podcasts because that's what I have time for.
Yeah, I agree. You can multitask, right?
Mm-hmm.
How about, do you have like an inspirational quote, your favorite of all time that keeps you going?
Yes, I do actually. I have it on a bracelet that I wear every day. And I don't even remember where I got this, but it says, never give up, keep going, and keep growing.
Oh, I like it. I really like it. For those who are listening today, and probably lots of boutique owners who are in a really similar position as you, and you're thinking about like, they're wondering, man, Baylee, tell me one thing I really need to know right now. What is that one like piece of advice you wish everyone listening would really take to heart and take action on after listening to you today?
And just focusing on your community. Like, it doesn't matter the size of it. If you have 20 people in your community on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever that is, but focusing on them and not growing the number, because the number I feel like will grow with you on giving that great experience through the community that you have. That's one thing that I have really focused on from the very beginning, is just knowing who my customer is, knowing their name when they come into the shop, or knowing what they did last weekend. I mean, it helps because we're in a smaller town, but there's still people that walk in all the time. I don't know who they are, but we just create like a friendship as soon as they come in, with just being like completely open with them, talking about our own selves, and it opens them up. Yeah, so just working on your own community that you have right now.
I think that's spot on. Such spot on advice, right? Baylee, I want to thank you so much for the time we've been able to share today. I feel like it's totally blown by. Like, this is going really, really fast. Yeah. But I think you've had so much good, just input for everyone, right? To share your story and what makes your business work for you. And it doesn't have to be the same as anybody else.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So you probably know the drill. The last question is always the same because I think it matters the most in everything we do. But let's fast forward. Your girls are grown and they've got kids of their own, and your boutique hubby is with you sitting on the front porch someday, far, far into the future. And you guys are sitting there talking about the boutique and all the things you did besides the boutique in your life and the life that you lived as a whole. What is the thing that you want those grandkids and everyone else to remember about what you created in the life that you lived?
I just want them to remember that I was hardworking, that I built something that was more than just a material thing. It was more than just retail. It inspired people. It gave women confidence in themselves. It promoted self-love. It gave back to our community. And yeah.
You're doing it. You're doing it. You're right in the thick of it. Baylee, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. Thanks for being a part of the Boutique Hub. That's awesome. I love it. And congrats again on being the Washington Storefront Boutique of the Year and overall Boutique of the Year. And I wish you all the best in 2020.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
All right, you guys, we are getting so close to one of my favorite times of year, and that is we are just about to, summertime. Let's just say that, because I'm ready for the snow to melt in the Midwest. But with summertime comes the Boutique Summit. So you've probably already noticed inside of our social media at the Boutique Hub and inside membership, we've started to announce some of our keynote speakers for this year's Boutique Summit. I'm telling you what, you guys, we are pulling out all the stops in 2021 as we head to Atlanta June 7th through the 9th, including Jesse Itzler, the famed entrepreneur, and also Sarah Blakely's husband. So definitely has some insights into our industry, along with a social media guru, Jasmine Starr. If you'd love more information on the 2020 Boutique Summit, check out the link in the show notes or anywhere you follow us on social media. And guys, I hope I get to see you there. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you loved it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a rating and review down below for a chance to be one of our featured listeners each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and how to access complete show notes and bonus downloads from our guests, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.